Welcome on in, Molly Miller, your new head coach for ASU women's basketball. And we are joined by a man who I don't know if anyone's watched more ASU women's basketball over the years than this individual. Maybe Jeff Munn, but I don't think so. Jeff Metcalfe here joining us, friend of Sports 360 AZ. He does a great job on the women's basketball side and telling so many different stories. Jeff, thanks so much for joining us. And just overall, kind of what's your first impressions of this job and this fit for ASU and Molly Miller?
Yeah, hi Jordan. I guess I would give the edge to Jeff Munn because he gets to go on the road trips. So he probably has an edge on me over there. But yeah, when the job opened up, I think myself and most other people thought of Molly right away because number one, she's here right in town. She's done a great job at Grand Canyon, and I do know that when the job opened up, when they hired Natasha Adair, Molly was interested in the job then and didn't get it. So there was no reason necessarily to think she wouldn't be interested again. She's had a fantastic run at GCU. This is a really veteran team, and they were going to lose a lot of those players. So I think that maybe this was the right time for her and the right time for ASU.
And I mean, I remember going back to November, you and I sitting next to each other when ASU and GCU played, and we kind of looked at each other and said, "Hey, if all of a sudden ASU becomes available at some point, like they really have to look at Molly. What advantage do you think she has now that she knows the Valley, she knows Arizona, this landscape, the Southwest, that recruiting footprint? Obviously, the Big 12 is a big step up, but just that familiarity with kind of the movers and the shakers here in the state. How can that be an advantage for Molly?
Well, I think it's a big advantage just in the sense of she's got a feel for how to recruit in the West, something that Natasha Adair didn't necessarily have coming from the East. She doesn't have to move her family. She knows the landscape of not only what's going on at GCU, but at ASU as well. They played three times in the last 3 years, and GCU won two of those games. So, that's something people notice. I remember back when they hired Charlie Turner Thorne, she was at NAU, and they won a game or two against ASU too. And there's a lot of kind of similarities to the two paths that these two women are taking. So I think there's a lot to be said for being here and knowing the local footprint, if you want to put it that way. And yes, it is a big step up. I mean, there's no doubt about it. But then on the other hand, you look what she did with her GCU team, even just what they did in playing Baylor in the NCAA tournament. I mean, Baylor's been playing really well lately. Um, and they were basically two possessions down with a couple minutes left to go, and then Baylor pulled away a little bit. The game was maybe closer than even the final score indicated. I thought they played a fantastic game. I thought that said a lot about her coaching and preparation that she could get her GCU team ready to make their NCAA debut and play that kind of game.
A lot of people have made the parallels. I have made the parallel. Charlie Turner Thorne, Molly Miller, kind of a double-sided sword, right? Because it's a huge compliment to Molly, but also all of a sudden there are some raised expectations there too. But stylistically, they're defense first coaches, and everything that comes with that. Just how do you think Charlie can be a resource for Molly in this new experience for her?
Well, they know each other. Charlie's actually done analyst work on a couple of their games. I know that, so they do know each other. I think they have respect for each other. So yeah, I think she can be a resource, and I know ASU wants to have Charlie involved in the program. So whatever form that takes, even if it's just support in the background or advice or mentorship, I think Charlie would be more than willing to do that. There's some interesting things I was looking up. People forget Charlie had only been a head coach for 3 years when she came here, and she was only 30. Molly's been a head coach for 11 years. Now, six of those were at the D2 level, but she's 38 and has been a coach for 11 years. So, in a way, she's got more credentials and is maybe on the surface more ready for this job even than Charlie was when Charlie came in. Now, the other side of it is the whole landscape of college basketball, and college athletics is totally different. So you're coming in with, transfer portal, NIL, when are we going to get the arena fixed? All those kind of things that are going to be issues that Molly's now going to have to deal with. I think I counted it up today. If I'm right, there might, between players that have graduated and those that are in the transfer portal, there might only be 5 or 6 players on the ASU roster currently. Now, not everyone might transfer. Maybe somebody will change their mind. I'm not sure, but she's got a big job ahead of her just to get a roster set up for next year. And then she's going to have to find the right balance between the portal going forward and freshman recruiting, which everybody has to do these days. I personally believe freshman recruiting is still important
Mhm.
and that you're not going to ultimately get where you want to go unless you're doing some quality freshman recruiting. So I want to see that along with, whatever she can bring in the portal.
And let's take a step back. You kind of touched on it a little bit, but the job itself. And like you said, Molly had this great run. We saw at GCU these incremental steps each year that they made. And obviously, you hit the peak with this 30-game win streak. They had 9 seniors going. So it was a lot of cohesion. And it wasn't just a lot of these players had played together for a couple of years as well. So there was that familiarity with themselves. The expectations for ASU fans. I know a lot of people are excited about this hire, but it is, like you said, not many on the roster currently. It's going to take some time to build up. The arena, I know they're coming out with potential renovations here this spring, or at least a plan for that. How can ASU athletics help her try to hit the ground running, and kind of what are some of those realistic, probably expectations for this new era of the program here in the next couple of years?
There's probably a couple of comparisons to be made. One is what happened with ASU volleyball when they made their coaching change. Um, JJ Van Neal came in. Now, I think the program had more talent in it when he got here, so I'm going to qualify it that way.
Mhm.
But they immediately leaped into the top 15 nationally in the first year and carried that through for this past season. So 2 years in a row, immediate success. That would indicate if you get the right coach and you know how to work the portal and whatnot, you can make improvements fast. The other thing that's really stood out from the Big 12 perspective is what TCU women's basketball has done. So TCU was basically had the kind of success or lack of success going on that ASU's had the last 3 years. They bring in a coach named Mark Campbell, who had been an assistant at Oregon State in Oregon before he became the head coach at Sacramento State. And immediately they took off. And this year they're in the tournament as a 2 seed. So, and that Mark's been there 2 years. I'm looking to hear my notes here, 19-9 and 23 and
Mhm.
3 over the last 2 years. His first 2 years at TCU. So I'm not saying I'm not putting that on Molly and saying, wow, you got to be able to do that. But I think it can be done, and it probably can be done quickly if you're good at your job and a few things fall right for you.
Yeah,
And
if you
let's face it, Molly got some good players in at GCU and then developed them, and that development part's going to be a big piece of this too.
100%. Yeah. And you can really get things going here quickly if you're hitting the right notes, certainly. But a lot to take in here. Again, a new era. I think a lot of excitement around this hire, in my opinion. I think a home run hire. But we'll definitely see how it plays out. Jeff, looking forward to seeing your coverage throughout this next chapter of ASU women's basketball.
All right, Jordan, thanks a lot.